Uh-oh. Okay, we'll start with this, the latest from boxing scene. Boxing is back on ESPN Plus with Manny Pacquiao Promotions. Manny Pacquiao's MP Promotions have reached a broadcast deal with ESPN Plus for their fight series to start on November 29th in Southern California. Pacquiao intends to promote 6 shows in 2026, likely a lot less expensive than what they were spending on top-ranked shows. If you've been keeping up with the channel, you'll know, I said it plenty of times, I'm not sure that ESPN is done with boxing, especially not based on what I was told from an inside source. ESPN would like to stay in the sport, but they are non-committal to one promoter. They wish to work with several promoters, and this is confirmation of that. That's what I was told many weeks ago. That's what I relayed over to you guys here on the channel, that ESPN may not be done behind the scenes. They would like to stay in boxing, but not the way things were before, to where they're spending 80 or 90 million on one promotional outfit. They want to work with others. So there may be a door open for Top Rank to stay on the platform in tandem with whatever broadcaster, whatever other broadcaster they're talking to. Talked about that too. Rumor has it that the broadcaster is a broadcaster that wasn't in boxing before, but may be in boxing moving forward. Industry rumors suggest that it's Warner Brothers Discovery, and that via them, Top Rank may be doing 1 show a month annually. That breaks down to 12 shows, but is that enough to accommodate their stable? I don't think so. I think they would still need more than that. Top Rank has a very deep stable. It's likely why Bob said when they come back, they're going to come back with more than one broadcaster. So let's just postulate. What if they do a deal with Warner Brothers Discovery, but they're still in bed with ESPN Plus, tenuously? That would allow them to make up the difference, that whatever they're not getting from ESPN, they could get it on Warner Brothers Discovery. Bob said they're going to come back with more than one broadcaster and more fight dates than before. That's what he said. Something to think about. And what else? Manny Pacquiao Promotions promotes a lot of fighters. One among them, one you might know, is Isaac Cruz. Isaac Cruz is a Manny Pacquiao Promotions fighter, and so is Mark Magsayo. I think Mark is, but I know that Isaac is. So why would ESPN Plus bring over Manny Pacquiao Promotions? That promotional outfit can't compete with Top Rank in terms of scale and size. Maybe they did it because they're less expensive. It's a smaller outfit, cheaper fighters, cheaper operational costs. That might be why, because it's not as expensive as what they were doing before. It's more cost feasible, though at the same time, I as a consumer, as a boxing fan, I don't think Manny Pacquiao Promotions is an adequate substitute to Top Rank. It can be an addition to, a supplemental effort, but not a substitute. There's not enough there. But that is what the rumor mill is spinning. Elsewhere in the world of boxing, veteran boxing scribe Adam Catterall, like the rest of us, reacted to the news of Gervonta Davis versus Jake Paul's exhibition match. Gervonta is America's biggest boxing star, and he's fighting a novice 60 pounds heavier than him because it will generate more money than a genuine fight. American audiences have disengaged with the sport. Years of bullshit matchmaking opened the door to clowns, and now we have a circus. I can't disagree with any of that. He's spot on. Boxing for boxing doesn't appeal to Americans. That's why they don't really like guys like Inoue or Usyk. They tend to lean more towards dysfunctional and toxic characters that perpetuate stereotypes, seemingly responding to Adam Catterall or anybody like him. Veteran boxing scribe Ellie Seckbach said, "The sad part of boxing is, some of the media will dictate to you who are the superstars and who are not. Maybe they get paid by a promoter or a manager to say so, but that does not resonate with the public. So stars fight in empty arenas with no viewership, selling mid-fighters as ATGs." And what would a viewing figures for Gervonta Davis versus Frank Martin, Ellie? What would a viewing figures for the Lamont Roach fight? I guarantee you it wasn't nothing to write home about, which is why no numbers came out. The old saying goes, if you had something to brag about, you'd be bragging about it, but nobody was bragging about what those fights did. The joke is, Gervonta Davis is a mid-fighter, and you're the one talking him up like he's an ATG. Responding to Ellie Seckbach, veteran content creator T Street Controversy said, "Bruh, this is you, and they don't even pay you. A fighter shows him a little love, takes him to Red Lobster and some attention, and just like the neighborhood thoughty, this she, respect his pronouns, starts sucking the shit out of some dick on the first date." That sounds like Ellie, all right. Because the only reason he's this territorial when it comes to Gervonta is due to the access Gervonta gives him, the attention. He talks about him like he's the greatest thing since sliced bread for no other reason. Do you think he's this defensive about other fighters? He's not. But he continued, "If you're a boxer and are offered millions and millions to box, go do it. Didn't Turkey offer Gervonta millions and millions for Devin and millions for Shakur? Why didn't he go do it?" Ellie continued, "Take care of you, your family, your health. At the end of the day, no one cares after you retire. Boxing is showbiz and is about making people watch. This fight will do numbers." On that I agree. It absolutely will, because it's not a pay-per-view. It's because of the platform. It's because it's on Netflix and you don't have to pay anything extra that it will do numbers. But that doesn't justify it. Gervonta Davis is not some guy in his mid to late 30s who's been there and done that with everybody, and now he's in the twilight years of his career. He's 30 years old. 30. By all accounts, he's supposed to be in his prime. This is not about making millions upon millions of dollars, because he could have did that with Shakur. He could have did that with Devin. He could have did that with Teofimo. He could have did that with a few guys. So it's not really about the money. It's about avoiding the risks. Avoiding the danger. All the rewards without any of the risks. That's what Ellie is celebrating. Don't let this altruistic stance fool you, because it doesn't extend to anybody else. It doesn't extend to Devin Haney, it doesn't extend to Terrence Crawford, and it doesn't extend to Lamont Roach, who Ellie Seckbach regularly takes shots at. You think this putz is now the patron saint for boxers and what's best for them? He's only talking about Gervonta. Why he's only talking about Gervonta? Because he don't get access to those other guys. Bullseye. He don't get access to Crawford. He don't get access to Shakur, to Lamont. Being the president of the Gervonta Davis fan club is his bread and butter, so naturally, his livelihood, he is going to protect it. When Adam Catterall said that America has disengaged with boxing, he is very much right. What immediately came to mind is how Americans gave Inoue a hard time, a 4-weight, 2-time undisputed champion that has a career, the kind of career that Gervonta Davis doesn't have. And for that, the Americans gave him a hard time, called him a hype job, did the same thing to Usyk. The guys who did it the right way, the guys who fought in as many relevant fights as they could and still are. These are the guys the Americans don't really like. To an extent, that applies to Crawford. All Crawford ever wanted to do in the welterweight division was fight the somebodies, and for that, they were happy to see him frozen out. They were happy to taunt him and tease him, being deprived of all the relevant fights he needed, so they could be the same one saying he didn't fight nobody. You didn't want him to fight nobody. When the PBC was freezing him out, you was celebrating it. Crawford's another guy who tried to do it the right way, and for the most part, he did. But they don't like him. Not as much as they should. They don't gravitate towards fighters that try to do things the right way. They like things to be more chaotic. They want boxing to be more of a circus, which speaks to what Adam Catterall was saying, that America has disengaged with boxing. They don't like boxing for the boxing anymore. They want it to be a circus. They want it to be a reflection of who they are, because who they are is a bunch of clowns. I saw one broad reacting to Davis versus Paul saying, "Jokes aside, my man is getting the bag. Respect."
Jokes aside, your boxing takes are a joke.
You actually being a boxing fan is the joke. If you were a boxing fan, you'd want to see Gervonta in there with an actual boxer, a true blue boxer. You're not a boxing fan, you're an agent of chaos.
You're a part of the problem, like Ellie Seckbach.
You celebrate this mediocrity and act like you stand for something. It's a goddamn joke is what it is, a joke that isn't funny. But that's where American boxing is right now. When Adam Catterall said that America has disengaged with boxing for the boxing, he's absolutely right. And I've said it so many times, it's almost like everybody's now catching up to.
It's like they're just now realizing it. I've been saying it the whole time.
What the populace reacts to and gravitate towards is a reflection of who they are and what they aspire to in their own lives. So when they don't really care for an Inoue, or they don't really care for an Usyk, the kind of guys that did it the right way,
they can't relate to that.
These fighters that aspire to be excellent, these mediocre people can't relate to that. They can only relate to the mediocre.
Mediocre!
And what is Gervonta Davis if not mediocre? You didn't fight the best at 130. You didn't fight the best at 135, at 140.
Mediocre!
It's supposed to be some kind of a success story that he managed to avoid every major threat, every risk in the sport of boxing, took nothing but shortcuts to the bag.
Mediocre!
And this is what draws you to him? This is what gets you off, huh? Gets you hot? Turns you on as a boxing fan. This is what you watch the sport for? Not for the boxing and who Gervonta Davis is boxing, but whether or not he got a big bag. How pathetic is that? How ridiculous. You know you watch sports to watch people compete. That's the whole point.
Mediocre!
But this guy's done everything he can, everything in his power to avoid competitive fights. And at the first sign of trouble with Roach, what does he do? He fights an influencer instead, in an exhibition. And this is what you're celebrating.
Mediocre!
Mediocre people are gonna celebrate mediocre things. Birds of a feather flock together.
Ain't that what they say? Great minds think alike. And not so great minds, they do too. Mediocre!
So I guess you imagine that you're counting Gervonta Davis's money for him, since that's what excites you about the sport of boxing. Whether or not he got a bag.
Bag.
What have I been telling you? These losers live vicariously through him. That's the appeal. That's what they're in it for. That's their skin in the game.
Elsewhere in the world of boxing, there seems to be a rumor out there that WBC champion Shakur Stevenson is going to be out for the remainder of this year, which I already mentioned in passing, and that's according to Roach, to which a Twitter user that goes by the name Anointed and Beloved responded, "Shakur, is this true?"
To which young Shakur Stevenson Rodriguezson responded, Lamont was getting ready for the rematch, so he's gonna have an in-between fight, and then fight me at the top of the year. But it's only if Tio doesn't accept the fight.
Tio is the prime candidate. Before we got to this point, there was already an effort to put Shakur in the ring with Tio. Now, who's paying for it? I'm gonna assume it's Turkey.
And who's paying for Lamont Roach's fight?
Well, I saw veteran boxing scribe Marcos Villegas say that Roach's next fight is gonna be on ProBox, and that was the story up until Lamont Roach shot it down.
Hey, no funny. Stop all these ProBox jokes, whatever the case may be. I promise you, if my next fight is on ProBox, it's gonna be for M or more. Fuck is y'all talking about? Keyword is if though, but still, like, come on, bro. Y'all got ProBox fucked up. Fuck is y'all talking about? Little do y'all know, ProBox be feeding some of y'all best cars and shit like that. So what are y'all talking about? Get off y'all fucking knees. Stop sucking dick. Man. Keep spamming the ducks though, man. God damn.
More of that trademark cognitive dissonance from the Gervonta Davis fans posting duck emojis in the comment section of Lamont Roach's live stream as if he's the one who avoided Gervonta. It's confirmed. If Gervonta wanted to have a rematch with him, he could have. He chose to go straight into the Jake Paul fight.
Gervonta's fans choose not to hold him accountable, and we've been seeing that all day ever since this news broke.
What's not immediately apparent is that Levant Roach likely didn't make very much from the Gervonta Davis fight. I mean, what do you really think they paid that guy? And he still hasn't had the chance to parlay that performance into a major payday, so that if he is going to take a fight in between, he needs to tread carefully, whether or not he wants to make it to a Gervonta Davis rematch,
right,
or a showdown with Shakur Stevenson.
Right.
He needs to tread carefully. He loses, and it's over. He could lose his very next fight, and it's done. He loses all the value he amassed in an instant, because all the value of facing Levant Roach now is upstaging Gervonta Davis.
That's it.
And I stress this because this is the same Levant Roach I saw get beat years ago by Jamel Herring. My honest opinion, it's not that Levant got better. It's not that he's all of a sudden this amazing fighter.
No.
And I don't say this out of spite or malice, it's just me being honest that Levant Roach is not some different fighter than the fighter that he was. All it really is he upstaged Gervonta.
But Gervonta's the same guy who was losing rounds to Rolly Romero and Frank Martin.
It's really not the flex that it's being made out to be, that Levant was able to upstage him. At some point, somebody was going to, and now he's spooked. Now he's scared. Now he's fighting in an exhibition with Jake, and Levant is looking for someone to keep busy with. And while he's looking, he better be careful.
If he loses, he's done.
I feel like ideally, Shakur Stevenson would fight Levant Roach next. Fight him next while you're still at 135. Fight him at the beginning of next year. Beat him, because I'm 100% sure that Shakur would. He'd beat him easy. Then move into the Teofimo Lopez fight. That would be ideal. Those are two major fights with two names, which is what Shakur Stevenson is looking for. I feel like ideally it would not be an either-or situation.
Fight them both.
But there is still lingering talk about a rematch between Levant and Gervonta. Personally, I don't see it happening. After Gervonta makes whatever he makes with Jake Paul for a joke fight,
why would he roll the dice again with Levant for less money than what he just made with the joke fight?
with the Jake fight, who's supposed to pay for a Levant Roach rematch? I mean, that's the other thing. Who's going to pay him to do that rematch? I noticed on the official fight poster, posted by Netflix, there is no PBC insignia, no PBC emblem. So at the helm of this promotion, it looks to be MVP.
Why does that matter?
Because of what it communicates. The PBC ain't got no juice, no power, no real say-so. There is a legitimate argument that Gervonta Davis is the B-side to Jake. He's the one that brought Netflix into the boxing space. He's the one that's been doing business with them, and they're the ones paying for all of this. You're just a guest.
They ain't got no juice. So when they ain't got no juice,
No money.
I'll ask again. Who's supposed to pay for a Levant Roach rematch? Netflix, maybe?
I mean, yeah, I guess there's an off chance they might pick that up, depending on what happens in the Jake Paul exhibition, which is a separate conversation.
That is a separate matter, which we'll talk about in another video.
What's gonna happen when the opening bell sounds?